She said it like a code, simple, efficient, impossible to ignore. You already know. And I realized then we spend too much of our lives outsourcing certainty. We open tabs, run simulations, poll opinions, test hypotheses, all to delay the one thing that actually changes anything: action. But here's the truth: instinct isn't guesswork. It's compressed experience. It's data, massive, subconscious, real-time input drawn from every success, failure, conversation, dream, and breakdown. It's pattern recognition at a level no algorithm can replicate. And when we hesitate, when we wait for guarantees, we're not being cautious, we're being inefficient. See, indecision is not a safe zone. It's an energy sink, a loop that consumes time and erodes momentum. People think they're being smart by not making the wrong move. But what they're really doing is standing still while the world builds without them. And the irony is they already know. The gut feeling, the quiet voice, that subtle discomfort pulling at you when you're off track. That's the internal compass. Ignoring it is like designing a rocket and refusing to trust the navigation system. People think success is about IQ or timing or luck. Those things help. But what really separates the builders from the spectators is this: the ability to move when there's no applause, no certainty, no external validation, just instinct. That's how prototypes are made. That's how revolutions are launched. That's how anything real begins. And let's be clear, instinct isn't always loud. Sometimes it's more like gravity, subtle, but impossible to escape. It doesn't scream, it nudges. But if you're too distracted by noise or fear or opinions, you'll miss it. And worse, you'll start asking others to tell you what you already know. That's how dreams get diluted into plans that never ship. Think about every major leap forward, every invention, every company, every shift in direction that changed the game. It didn't start with someone being told what to do. It started with someone trusting that first signal, that hunch, that tiny moment of "this is it." And yes, trusting your instinct means risk. It means owning the fallout when you're wrong. But guess what? That's how feedback works. That's how systems improve. You course correct mid-flight, not from the launch pad. So when she said, "You already know," it wasn't reassurance. It was a demand, a disruption, a reminder that if you're waiting for perfect clarity before moving, you'll never move. The internal compass doesn't light up the whole path. It just points true north. That's enough. That's always been enough. Don't look around. Don't hesitate. Don't ask the world to approve your next step. If the signal's clear, move. Because the longer you wait, the quieter that instinct becomes. And the mission, the one that only you can build, it gets buried under the noise. You already know. Now act like it. They keep telling you to find your direction. Career coaches, influencers, consultants, self-help books, they package direction like software. Download this mindset. Follow this framework. Subscribe to this blueprint. But here's the uncomfortable truth: real direction can't be outsourced. It can't be installed. Because it's not external. It's internal. Always has been. You can't discover purpose through a step-by-step guide. You don't stumble into clarity by copying someone else's path. You build it by going into the signal that's already been transmitting inside you. It's not loud. It doesn't sell well. It doesn't trend on platforms. But it's there. This isn't a motivational gimmick. It's systems thinking. Every great leap, every radical innovation started from someone ignoring the noise and tuning into that internal compass. You can't download direction because no one else has your code base. No one has your bugs, your architecture, your capacity to solve the specific problem the world hasn't even recognized yet. You're not here to replicate. You're here to originate. People waste years updating themselves with other people's instructions. They install new ideologies like updates, hoping one of them will finally feel right. But direction isn't something that feels right from the outside. It clicks when it aligns with who you are. You're not who you're trying to emulate. You know what that internal direction feels like. It's frictionless focus. It's when time disappears. When feedback hits like oxygen, not judgment. When effort becomes obsession. That's not random. That's your signal. That's the internal GPS saying, "build here." But most people won't trust it. Why? Because there's no guarantee, no certificate, no audience clapping for your internal vision. The external world loves results, not raw direction. So you end up doubting it. Second, guessing the very compass designed to take you where no one else can go. You start collecting opinions. That's when the clarity fades. Not because it disappeared, because you stopped listening. Direction requires silence, precision, obsession. And it demands you stop asking for permission to be exactly who you are. You can't outsource the decision to lead your own life. There's no app for that. Think about this. The greatest systems we've ever built, from electric vehicles to AI to reusable launch systems, they weren't downloaded from somewhere. They were pulled from the mind of someone who trusted what they saw before the world could see it. So if you're looking for direction, stop looking out there. It's not in the books. It's not in the metrics. It's not in the algorithms. The direction is internal. And it's relentless. You don't follow it because it's easy. You follow it because ignoring it will cost you everything that could have been. You already have the signal. The question is, will you build from it or wait for someone to hand you what's already inside you? The world will tell you to wait. Wait until you're approved. Until you're liked. Until you've got enough followers, investors, diplomas, likes, mentors, certifications, applause. The problem? By the time you get all that validation, the window is already closed. The opportunity's gone. Someone else acted while you were still asking for permission. We've been trained to think validation is fuel, that we need it to start. But in reality, it's friction. It delays. It dilutes. You have an idea, something raw, electric, and before you even touch it, you put it up for votes. You ask people who've never built anything whether you should build. That's like asking gravity if it approves of your launch sequence. It doesn't care. And it shouldn't, because validation doesn't build, it consumes. It creates this feedback loop where you wait to be told you're ready, instead of proving you are through action. But readiness isn't something you achieve first. It's something you become through momentum. That's the unlock. Movement. Action. Shipping. Launching. Failing, iterating. That's where transformation lives. Every prototype is ugly. Every version 1 is clunky. No one validates the first draft of anything legendary, because people don't have vision until you force them to see it. And you don't get there by asking what they think. You get there by building, by moving. This isn't about arrogance. It's about architecture. A system that waits for validation is a system that can be paralyzed by silence. But a system that runs on action, that's resilient. That's self-correcting. It doesn't care if it's praised. It only cares if it works. That's how progress actually happens. You don't need the world's green light. The runway's clear the moment you decide to lift off. There is no council, no permission slip, no final vote that makes your idea legitimate. You make it legitimate by executing it into existence. You make it real by doing the work others are still debating. And yes, people will doubt you. That's predictable. Useful, even, because doubt is just another form of resistance. It means you're on to something that hasn't been normalized yet. If everyone gets it immediately, you're probably too late. So drop the need to be validated. Drop the performance. Stop shaping your vision to fit the algorithm of what's currently acceptable. You're not here to be understood at step 1. You're here to build something that only makes sense after it changes the landscape. Action is the signal. It's the truth. It cuts through the noise, the opinions, the fear. It forces reality to respond. And it's the only way anything real gets done. So if you're still waiting for someone to tell you you're ready, you already are. Build anyway. Launch anyway. Because action doesn't just unlock the door, it is the key. In the noise, nothing is clear. In this world, it's all noise, notifications, deadlines, metrics, meetings, layer after layer of distraction pretending to be urgency. Everyone's sprinting, no one's thinking. And that's the problem. Because clarity doesn't shout, it doesn't chase you down, it waits. And if you're moving too fast, if your system is overloaded, you'll miss it completely. Moments of clarity are like low-frequency signals. You need silence to hear them. You need space to detect them. But most people never pause long enough. They confuse motion with progress, activity with productivity. They're constantly inputting, scrolling, reacting, consuming, but never listening. And clarity requires listening. Deep, focused, uncomfortable listening. You know what clarity feels like? It's not dramatic. It's not a lightning bolt. It's a quiet wise. A subtle click, like when the prototype finally works, like when the equation balances, like when you realize the thing you've been chasing was already in front of you, but you were too distracted to see it. That's what clarity does. It reveals. It doesn't invent. It aligns the system. But here's the catch. You don't get that kind of clarity by grinding harder. You get it by stopping, pausing long enough for your own thoughts to catch up with you. It's not laziness. It's calibration. You're not pausing to escape the mission. You're pausing to see it clearly. The biggest mistakes don't come from lack of effort. They come from moving fast in the wrong direction. You want to know why some people build breakthrough systems while others just stay busy. It's not intelligence. It's pattern recognition. It's their ability to detect when something doesn't fit, when something is off. That only comes when you step back, zoom out, let the noise die down, because when everything feels urgent, nothing is important. But in silence, priorities reveal themselves. In those rare moments when you disconnect from the pressure and look at the architecture, really look, you'll spot it. The flaw in the model. The feature no one asked for but everyone needs. The thing your gut has been trying to show you all along. It's not magic. It's clarity. But it only shows up when you stop performing long enough to pay attention. That's the moment. That's when innovation starts, not with chaos, but with a quiet decision that changes the trajectory of everything that follows. So if you're buried in the data, drowning in feedback, trying to calculate the next step, stop, just stop. Step back, zoom out, and listen. You might be surprised how loud the signal is when the noise finally fades. Clarity isn't something you chase. It's something you make space for. And once it shows up, you won't need anyone to explain what to do next. You'll just know. Because that's how the best decisions are made, not in the rush, but in the stillness. There's a growing divide in the world, two types of people, creators and spectators. And the gap between them isn't just widening, it's defining the future. Spectators consume. They observe, react, comment, critique. They analyze moves others make, repost breakthroughs they didn't build, and debate systems they'll never enter. And don't get it twisted. This isn't about intelligence. Some of the smartest people are trapped in observer mode, paralyzed by fear, waiting for certainty, addicted to watching someone else take the risk. But the ones who move the needle, they create, not because it's easy, not because it's safe, but because they can't not build. They see the same chaos as everyone else, but instead of waiting for instructions, they start engineering the solution. The world doesn't need more commentary. It doesn't need more panels, think pieces, or keyboard confidence. It needs execution. Ideas aren't rare, courage is. The courage to take the first step without knowing the last. The courage to ship something unfinished, get punched by feedback, and upgrade anyway. Creation is friction. It's uncomfortable. It's lonely. But it's also the only thing that reshapes the system. You think history remembers the spectators, the critics, the sideline thinkers. No, it remembers the builders, the risk takers, the ones who launched while everyone else was still calculating. Spectators want perfection. Creators just want progress. They know the first version will suck. They release it anyway. They know they'll be misunderstood. They speak anyway. They know failure isn't fatal. It's data. And they use it to evolve faster than the people watching them. And here's the paradox: spectators often know what's wrong with the system, but only creators can fix it. You can't comment your way to a breakthrough. You can't opinionate your way into a better world. At some point you have to build, code, design, launch, lead, make, even if it breaks. Especially if it breaks. You've got two choices every day: build the thing, or watch someone else build it. If you're watching more than you're making, you're not in the game. You're just in the gallery. And the gallery doesn't change anything. So look around. The problems are massive. The system is flawed. The world is messy. But that's exactly why it needs you. Not as a viewer, as a builder. Not as someone waiting for the right time. As someone who decides this is the time. Because the future doesn't belong to the most informed. It belongs to the most engaged. And the ones who engage through creation. Those are the people history writes about. Don't spectate the world. Architect it. Create, not because it's comfortable, but because it's necessary. The sidelines don't need another voice. The world needs your work. Every person holds an internal blueprint, not a manual, not a set of instructions. A blueprint, a unique, pre-coded architecture for what they're meant to build, solve, create, or disrupt. It's not downloaded, it's embedded from day one. But here's the twist: most people never read it. Why? Because they're too busy scanning everyone else's. They're modeling, mirroring, mimicking, following someone else's path, chasing someone else's metrics, living inside someone else's framework. And that's the failure state. That's how potential becomes noise. Because the system wasn't designed for copy-paste. It was designed for origination. The blueprint isn't loud. It doesn't scream. It won't send push notifications. It speaks in patterns, curiosities, frustrations, the problems you notice that no one else seems to care about, the ideas that won't shut up in your head, the skills you're drawn to without even understanding why. That's the code. That's the internal signature telling you where your energy belongs. But here's the thing: most people ignore it. They override it with external signals, expectations, algorithms, applause. They swap the blueprint for a checklist: graduate, get the job, climb, retire, safe, predictable, replaceable. Creators don't do that. Builders don't do that. They listen inward first. Because the blueprint doesn't tell you what's easy. It tells you what's essential. It shows you the structure of the thing only you can architect. And when you follow it, when you align with it, everything accelerates. Not because the work gets lighter, but because the resistance drops. It's like finding the flow state of your own life. You're not pushing uphill anymore. You're building on code that was already optimized for you. That's where momentum lives. That's where real innovation happens. But the price? You have to trust it before anyone else sees it. No one's going to validate your blueprint. It's encrypted for you, not for public approval. Which means you're going to look wrong before you look brilliant. You'll be misunderstood, criticized, underestimated. And still, you build. Because you don't need consensus to execute a vision. You need clarity. You need alignment. And that alignment starts when you stop asking, what should I do? And start asking, what was I built for? This isn't philosophy, it's operating system design. Every person is running a different set of capabilities, constraints, and drivers. When you tune into that, when you stop suppressing your own code, you stop drifting, you stop doubting, you start deploying. So if something keeps pulling at you, build it. If a problem keeps bothering you, solve it. If a mission keeps waking you up at 3 a.m., that's not random. That's the blueprint pinging. That's your signal. Everyone has it, but only a few ever act on it. Be one of the few. Not because it's easy, because it's yours. Breakthroughs don't happen in waiting rooms. They don't happen while you're thinking about it, planning it, optimizing it, asking for feedback on it. They happen when you build, raw, unfiltered, imperfect, real. There's this myth floating around that says timing is everything, that you should wait for the right market conditions, the right tools, the right team, the right mindset. And while you're waiting, someone else is launching, someone else is testing, failing, iterating, moving. And that movement, that's where the breakthrough lives. You don't get to clarity by standing still. You get there by colliding with reality. You write the first line of code. You sketch the first design. You build the thing you can't stop thinking about, even if it's broken. Especially if it's broken, because it's in that friction where the system starts to evolve. Breakthroughs are not discovered. They're forged. You build your way into them. You can't plan a leap forward. You can only put enough pressure on the problem until the structure finally cracks open and something new emerges. That doesn't happen on a whiteboard. That happens in the build phase, in the mess. And let's be clear, waiting feels smart, it feels responsible. But often, it's just procrastination with better branding. I need more research. The timing's not ideal. I'm still gathering data. No, you're hesitating. You're stalling. And the window you think will always be open, it's not. The market moves. The world shifts. The moment passes. And that idea that could have changed everything? Gone. Not because it wasn't brilliant, but because it never left the idea phase. The truth is the build doesn't need to be perfect. It needs to be real. Real gets feedback. Real exposes flaws. Real gives you leverage to go further. It's not about genius. It's about guts. You don't have to know how it all ends. You just need to start. And keep starting, over and over. Every major leap, the ones that changed industries, rewrote rules, redefined the possible, they didn't begin with approval. They began with action. Someone decided to stop waiting for permission and start creating version 1. Not version perfect, not version safe, just version real. You want a breakthrough. Build. You want momentum. Build. You want answers. Build. Because motion creates clarity, and clarity reveals the path. That's the algorithm. That's how this works. The waiting ends the moment you realize nothing changes until you do something. Not talk about it, not pitch it. Build it. So here's the truth no one wants to hear. You're not stuck because the idea isn't ready. You're stuck because you haven't started. The greatest breakthroughs, they don't wait for the green light. They are the green light. So here it is, simple, direct, and unavoidable. The signal is already inside you. The blueprint is there. The instinct is real. The time is never perfect, and that's exactly why you move now. Because every moment you delay, someone else is solving the problem you were built to fix. Every second you wait for clarity, someone else is creating it. The mission doesn't wait for certainty. It waits for courage. And the world doesn't need another polished opinion. It needs what only you can build. No more spectators. No more overthinking. No more waiting for validation, direction, or the mythical right moment. You already know. Now move, launch, and let the future answer to you.